Hi, Vasanthi, and welcome to today's show, Radiant Realization with Namrata. I'm really glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Namrata, for the invitation and this opportunity to share my thoughts. And also, it's a great initiative that you've taken to go into different aspects of life coaching. And there are so many things in our lives which I think we can improve. And this initiative, helps us to throw light on it. So thank you so much.
Truly said, Vasanthi, there are so many aspects that we are just not aware about where we
Correct.
can enhance quality of our life. And one such aspect that is self-love. And I'm really excited to hear from you. What, how has self-love helped you in your personal journey, the transformation that you brought in your life?
Yeah. Actually, like you said, the awareness was simply not there, I think, in my earlier days. Now that I think back, like I was a working professional and, a working mother and also followed by being a full-time housewife. So when I think back, that aspect of, giving yourself the care that you need was never there. I think the awareness came about after I started on the coaching journey. And once, I think, self love, I would say, in my opinion, is the highest form of love that you can have because once you love yourself, then that love flows into all aspects of your life, into all your relationships as well. So, that I would say is the foundation of, a happy, loving way of living. Yes, that is what I feel. And I think now it's important for everyone to kind of become aware of it early on because it will make so many things so much better in life.
Definitely. So, Vasanthi, what steps you had to take to overcome challenges and install qualities of self-love in your life?
What steps I took? Okay, so once this awareness, I would say it was a very gradual process. But the first step is actually sitting back and seeing how you're, living your life, how your day is going by. So that aspect of reflection, self-reflection becomes important. So just spending those few minutes with yourself, just seeing how your life is going, how your day has been, giving importance to your thoughts, your emotions, so once that kind of clarity or that kind of information comes in, then then you get into the next step of finding out, what is it that you can do better? Like certain emotions you might have felt bad about incidents, say during the day. So what is it that you could have done better? Maybe it could be a reaction to an event or what a person is saying. So it's like slowly giving yourself that time to realize or to become aware of what your thoughts and emotions are, and then acting on it, maybe saying what you could have done better, and then taking those small steps. So I think as we progress through this discussion, there are so many ways in which you can bring about the self love. We'll go through it. So the first step I think would be the self awareness and self reflection is the starting point.
And if you have to define self-love, what would it be?
So yeah, that's one of my favorite questions. So how do you define self-love? I think it's comes from a place of pure acceptance of who you are, and also authenticity. So acceptance because many a time we tend to look at our shortcomings rather than all the awesome things that we have, all the awesome qualities. So acceptance is like, just accepting yourself as you are. You have wonderful qualities. At the same time, you may have certain drawbacks. But just, that sentence that we say, I am enough. That is such a powerful way of stating that no matter how you are enough. And I think it also connects to you being part of the divine because I firmly believe each one of us has a divine part to ourselves, our soul, basically. So, and recognizing that each one of us is unique. So, there is nobody like you in this world, and that itself makes you very special. So that is one part. And the other aspect is authenticity. So being yourself, no matter what. So I think once that acceptance comes in, then you become more comfortable, uh, stating your opinions. Maybe not just trying to fit in with other people, but just being happy, uh, uh, thinking your own thoughts and opinions, and liking what you like or disliking what, and also being comfortable and happy stating it. Many a time we just hold back so many things because we don't want to kind of rock the boat or make other people uncomfortable. But it is also a part of self-love, expressing yourself fully. Yeah, I think these two would be the main aspects, I would say.
Agreed, Vasanthi. Especially the era in which we are, like, there's so much of criticism around, correct? Whether at work, your bosses would criticize. At home, your immediate family members would have some expectation. At social function, your relatives would have some expectation. And
Yeah.
there's always criticism. So in this scenario, how do you build in self-love? Because it might happen like one day you would love yourself because you don't have any of this creature around you. But next day, your boss, your spouse, mother-in-law, or some relatives would say something, and the self-love is gone for toss. So how do you handle such situation?
Yeah. So, yeah, very well put, Namrata. So, I think all this, and it is very, I would say, a very normal part of the day where things are going well and something or someone says something, something doesn't go well, and immediately, you're on a low. So here, I think it comes again from a space of deep love for yourself. So no matter how situations go, like suppose things don't go as planned or somebody criticizes you, it's looking at that from the angle of what can you learn from it, rather than it's typically what we do is blame ourselves, like this is we are not good enough or we're so stupid we did that mistake. But it's more from having that understanding and compassion for yourself and finding out what is it that I do wrong. And sometimes, let me tell you, not all criticism is something you have to take, right? Because people will say what they think. And like I say, most of the time, what people say to you or about you is not about you at all. It comes from a place of where they are in their lives. Maybe they have had a bad day and they need to vent their anger on someone, and you just happen to be there. So, just understanding that whether whatever they're saying has value to you. Maybe, of course, maybe at work, the boss might have something which has value, and he or she might have put it across angrily. So, just to analyze and see, is there something I can take from this and applying it. So, the next time, that mistake doesn't happen. So, it comes from a space of self compassion, being forgiving also, that none of us are perfect, mistakes happen, but there are ways of, making it okay. There's always another time to correct it. And it's a path of evolving and growing, right? None of us are perfect in all aspects of our life. We may be good in some things, not so good in others. But again, like I said, if you have that self love, you will be able to respond to situations in a much better way because there won't be that immediate negative reaction. There won't be that negative self talk, also. You will be able to kind of take your time and analyze and see what is it that you can take from it and what is it that you can learn from that situation or that person. So it's very important to have that self love so that we get through each day with less stress, less anxiety, less negative self talk.
Nicely explained, Vasanthi. After you started building this self-love for yourself, have you experienced any change in relationship with your family member or neighbors or people whom you meet on regular basis?
Yeah. See, it's not a conscious way of, you don't just go and say, okay, now I'm going to start building my self-love. But I think with that awareness and self-reflection, it kind of builds up. I think, like I said, having that compassion and forgiveness for yourself and acceptance. When you accept that this is who you are, you also operate from, I think, a space of more peace and calm as well. So that comes through, like I said, in difficult situations. So I can definitely say for myself earlier, maybe a few years earlier, when I would have got very angry. And in some situations, like when you have, say, elders involved or say bosses, you can't really speak up, right, at that point. So then you kind of hold it back. And then you also build resentment within you because there is no way of expressing this, right? So I also went through a period when I was feeling very resentful of the situation around me, that and I had this feeling that I'm doing my best, but still no appreciation, and the resentment was building up. But once, like I said, slow process of awareness and reflection and acceptance came in, I was able to respond to these situations in a more balanced way. And also, when you have compassion for yourself, you have compassion for others. It's like it flows over from you. So you also understand that, that person may just have spoken in the spur of the moment, So don't hold a grudge. Either you speak up and tell them that, okay, this is not something I wanted to hear right now, or I felt bad. Or if it's someone you cannot say that to, maybe just learn to let go, kind of understand that they were coming from a bad time. So is it something that you want sitting in your mind space? Because all these thoughts, anger, and resentment is occupying space in your mind, in your thoughts and emotions, where you could actually have so much more wonderful things rather than holding all these grudges, right? So, a process of letting go made me a much more peaceful and calm person. And it did, like, I mean, people actually came and told me that, there is a difference in you. You're so calm. And when you're calm, certain situations also diffuse easily rather than you reacting in a way, and then it'll just escalate into more and more negativity and anger. So when you just hold your peace and maybe you don't say anything or you step back, things tend to uh, cool down, and they get kind of sorted out much more easily. And I have found that situations get sorted out, the relationships are much better. So yes, I've seen definitely there's been a change for the better.
Good to hear this.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? You said the first step for self-love is self-awareness. So, if was interested to deepen their understanding about their own self, how can he or she do that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I would say, Namrata, the best one thing that we all fail to do is spend time with the most important person in our life. And we give time to our family, friends, work, everything else, but we don't give time to ourselves, because you're the most important person in your own life, right? So how do you spend time is actually just sitting some time in silence by yourself, maybe playing your favorite music, something which keeps you in peace and kind of a joyful atmosphere, and just reflecting. So the first thing I would say is, at the end of the day, just reflecting on how your day went, right? Going through the day. And also, like I said, self-love means giving importance to your own emotions and thoughts. So during the day, there might have been times when you did not feel very good. There might be times when you felt great. So also noting why that happened, what caused that. So giving yourself, I would say, honoring your emotions. Many a time we just say we are okay and we just brush everything, say, under the carpet. We just push it to the side, right? So instead of doing that, spending those few minutes, say 5 minutes is all it takes, to just run through that. And I would say journaling is a very great way of starting on this journey, because um, writing down your thoughts and emotions during the day, and certain prompts. Like, for example, the best way is to write your 5 wins for the day, as a first step, because maybe it's overwhelming to just write all your emotions in one go. So just start with what were the 5 wins that I had for this day? What went amazing? Because many times there are so many things we do right, and so many things we achieve, but that's taken for granted because we don't even pay attention. And some one thing maybe which did not go right is something which keeps us occupied. So by writing this, it's called a victory log. You can call it your victory log every day, and start with that. And that's a great way of starting on this journey. And later on, you can also expand it to write, what are the things that went well? What are the things that did not go well? And then what are my learnings from this? So this way, you kind of treat everything as a win, which you have. And whatever you consider is not a win is actually a learning for you. So what do I learn from this? And how can I do things better the next day or the next time? So this becomes a very beautiful practice of starting on this self-love journey.
Practicing self-love, Vasanthi, did you feel that you are able to build emotional resilience and you are able to tap into those mental health issues which most of the time goes unnoticed?
Yes, absolutely. I think self-love is the absolute foundation for us feeling good about ourselves. And see, all these emotional turbulence and disturbance is mainly because of, I would say, a lack of self-belief, a lack of, say, self-esteem or self-worth, right? We start questioning ourselves, whether we are doing the right thing, whether I'm capable. So many questions crop up. It all comes from a place of self-doubt where you're actually questioning your own qualities, your abilities. So self-love, if you build on it, becomes that foundation, a very strong foundation where no matter what challenge comes up in life, you're able to treat it with that kind of resilience, I would say, with balance. Because life, as we know, is all about ups and downs, right? Nobody is going to have a very smooth ascent to the top. There are going to be ups and downs, like it is said, maybe 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but still you are moving forward. So it's about when you have self-love, I think it gives you a great confidence. It gives you great emotional strength as well to deal with whatever life throws at you. And when you have this, I think mental and emotional health also gets taken care of. Because when you have faith in yourself and faith in the universe, well, anything that comes up is kind of figure outable, as you say, or doable. You know that it's not happening today, but at some point, if I keep working at it, I am going to go where I want to go or achieve what I want to achieve.
I get your point.
Yeah.
What has like, my experience has been that there are societal pressure, societal expectation, whether at work, whether at home, or any social event. In such pressureful situation, how do we continue to believe in ourselves? Because someday the work might not be as per the expectation of boss. Sometimes the paratha is not round or there's some less salt in sabji. And we tend to over criticize or over judge ourselves, correct? In such situation, how do we believe in ourselves that this is okay, or at least tell ourselves it's okay?
So you mean to say what other people say, or what is the thing you're saying to yourself in
What do
this
we
such?
say to ourselves? Yes, what should we say to ourselves in this situation?
Okay, but the criticism is I mean, are you facing criticism from the outside world, or it's just our own judgment of what we are
Our own
doing,
judgment,
our own
yes.
judgment? Yeah. So yeah, again, this comes down to like I said, we're so used to this negative self-talk, right? Like there was this, I don't know if you've heard this story where um, in a group, a person just gave sheets of paper to different people, and they were all blank. And on that each sheet of paper there was a black dot. So after some time, the person who was like the examiner, he asked everyone, "What did you see on the paper? I mean, what is your response?" So everybody said there's a black dot. So I mean, to carry this analogy to life, it's like if you take the sheet to be, your life experiences or instances, and the black dot to be maybe some negative thing which happened, or some negative experience, or some kind of criticism, we tend to look at that only, right? Even though the rest of the sheet is clean and white. So again, it's a question, I would say, I think it would be a matter of training ourselves. Say today your cooking wasn't great. And again, like I said, the way I look at it is, people might enjoy it. People might say it's good, but you might feel that, it's not up to your mark. So you feel bad about it. Right. Or in another situation, you might like it, but others might say something. Maybe close family says, okay, this is not as per your usual standard. So in both situations, what do we do? So again, it comes from a place of knowing that nobody's perfect. So, and we are not robots that we, have the same output every day. It's going to be perfect, 100 on 100 every single day. It's not. There will be good days, there will be bad days. And again, this is relative. So sometimes I love my cooking, whatever I do, but nobody gives me any compliments. But that's fine because I know that I've done my best and I like it. So that's good. And sometimes others might love it, even though you know that maybe, there is something missing. So in that case, graciously accept the compliments and be happy that, others enjoyed your food as well. So in any situation, even though there might be some drawbacks or something missing, there's always something good which you can look at. So again, the sense of appreciation for what is there, right? All of this is so interconnected. So when we look at gratitude, that comes from a place of appreciating all that you have. So again, gratitude is a practice which I would again call it one of the foundations, where every morning, the minute you wake up, just say 5 things you're grateful for, or you might choose to write it also. Or if you find that no, that takes time, just look around you or within you and see, these are the things I'm grateful for. These are the people I'm grateful for. What are the things in my life that I'm grateful for? So when you start your day that way, I think your focus will go on all the things which are good, all the things which are going well. And in fact, when you look at people also, you'll be able to appreciate all the good qualities that they have, rather than we tend to, again, people wise, maybe look at their shortcomings. So instead of that, everybody has qualities that we can learn from or that we can appreciate. So it's just a question of, it is a kind of a mindset shift, I would say, where you change your focus to looking at what is going well and what is good in that situation. And every situation will have something you can. So even if you have a huge, say, if you just take an example of, say, writing an exam or a test, and suppose it's gone bad for a student, there is still some takeaway that, maybe in this topic, you've not studied enough. So this is the area you need to focus on. So there's always a learning and there's always something good which comes out of any situation. You just need to look for it.
In journey of building self-love, how do we navigate situations of self-doubt?
Wow. Yeah, profound questions, Amrita. So I would say self-doubt and self-love are like on two opposite sides. So as you build your self-love, I'm sure your self-doubt will slowly diminish, right? So the practice of loving yourself, the practice of looking for the good in others, the practice of being grateful for what you have. So all this builds on your self-love, and it also flows into your other area of life. And that way, your self-doubt, I think, would slowly diminish, because ultimately, what is self-doubt? It is about questioning your own self, right? In terms of, am I good enough? I think the basic question of self-doubt is, am I good enough in any situation? So self-love, when you build it, uh, it's going to kind of overcome your self-doubt and help you navigate whatever challenges there are in your life. I hope that answered your question.
Yes. Vasanthi, you spoke about gratitude. So I would like to know from you, in addition to gratitude, what are the rituals you practice on day-to-day basis to keep nurturing self-love?
Yeah, sure. I would say self-love has certain aspects. Gratitude is definitely one of it, which helps you to build it. The other thing is like these thoughts that we have, right? Uh, like at any given point of time, I think now it's a commonly known fact that 50,000 to 60,000 thoughts go through our mind every single day. So at any point of time, there would be multiple thoughts going in. And most of the thoughts might be negative, or you might be either thinking about something going to happen in the future, maybe a little anxiety about it, or you might have gone to the past, going through some incident which caused you some pain or discomfort. So very little time is actually in the present. So one way of dealing with this is to be mindful, to be focused on what you're doing currently. So mindful practices are there where you completely focus on the present, and it kind of helps you to eliminate thoughts uh, going through your. Of course, it is a gradual process, but ultimately, so meditation also is one way which helps you bring your focus to the present, where you're focusing on your breathing. So even though thoughts do come, you kind of acknowledge them and let them go. So that is a good practice for self-love. Another one is writing affirmations. So pick up a few sentences which are important to you, which are, say, aligned with the goals or the dreams that you want to achieve, or the kind of person you want to be. And writing these affirmations daily is also a great way, or you might choose to say them out, or you could record them and hear them. So all these are about eliminating the negative thought patterns and bringing in positivity. Uh, Another aspect is self-care. So a big part of self-love is giving yourself the time and the energy to look after yourself. Right? So I think exercise, I think, is a very key aspect of this. So spending those 30 minutes in any form of exercise, some form of movement daily in the morning, uh, going out, spending some time with nature, maybe just soaking in the sun, enjoying the breeze and the greenery around you. Nature is a great way of self-nurturing and self-care. These would be the aspects, and also in terms of your growth, how do you grow? How do you expand your knowledge? So sometime in, say, maybe reading, or you might choose to see some videos which add to your knowledge, add to your information. So these would be the typical activities which you can do in the. I think it would be a great way of starting your morning, part of your morning routine.
You an entire buffet of activities. So
Yes.
people can pick whatever they are comfortable or whatever
Yeah, yeah.
suits the time availability.
You can actually start with one and keep just adding to it because, yeah, as you feel, as you go along, it's all a matter of just focusing more and more on yourself and your own self-love. Yeah.
So, Vasanthi, now you're on this journey of coaching where you've built yourself to become a better individual, and now you're supporting other people. So, in this journey of personal growth, what was the role of self-love?
In my journey, you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So let me share a little bit about my journey. So I was a working professional earlier, and then I decided that I was not able to balance work and family. So I gave up my career. I wouldn't say gave up. I decided that this was the right time because I had to focus on what was important. And it was family because I had growing kids. I had parents and parents-in-law also who were aging. So then started my journey as a homemaker. And I personally thought that I would, be focusing fully on this. And maybe also I wanted to contribute to society in some way. So I thought maybe some volunteering or I would teach kids something and all that. But then I also realized that as a person, I was not really happy, even though I was doing what I thought was right. uh, there was always something missing or some niggling issue which would come up and all, which made me feel bad. And I felt that, there was no outlet for me to, I mean, who do I talk to about this really? Even though friends are there, but, how much can you really share? Uh, and you may be able to talk about it, but what is the solution? So at that point, I think yoga was a big, I would say, factor which helped me kind of realize the importance of being emotionally strong, how your emotions and your thoughts are so important, even they affect your physical health as well. So, just to give you an idea, in yoga is this concept of five koshas, the five sheaths. So, there the body is just one sheath. We typically think of ourselves as the body, but there's the body, there's the mind, the intellect, and then ultimately you have the bliss uh, sheath as well. So, while going through the theory, this mind body connect was something which really intrigued me, which was fascinating because I also wanted to have a healthy life. I wanted a healthy life for my family as well, and healthy in the sense of total well-being, overall well-being. And at that point, I found that being uh, doing yoga helped me to find that emotional balance, and thus also made me also feel physically strong as well. So when coaching opportunity came along, I was exploring what more I could do. So I came across a webinar by Pooja Puneet. I resonated with what she was saying, and I took on the coaching certification. And during this journey, I also realized that when we were talking and we were in various groups and tribes, that what I was going through was not, unique to me. So many women in various stages of their life had these questions, had issues. And then I felt through coaching myself, I could maybe take what I've learned uh, and spread it and really share it with other women. It would be a great platform because ultimately, I also felt moving my own journey that women tend to, neglect themselves. They put themselves last, right? We come last. Everything and everyone else comes first. And it's important for each woman to really realize what lies within her because each one of us is a beautiful divine being individual and we have so much potential and it's our own responsibility to realize that potential. So I thought I would take this up coaching and my mission is really to help women to uh, reconnect with their identities. Many a time we just lose our identity in doing doing so many things, but still not being who we want to be. Right? So I want women to reconnect with their identity, find their purpose, and reach for their aspirations. And at the same time, not not at the cost of family or relationships. Basically, be that person who can go after aspirations as well as take care of a family duties and home welfare as well. So that is how my whole coaching journey came about.
It was really nice listening to your journey, Vasanthi.
Thank
I
you.
would want to know from you, were there any misconception around self-love that you had in your mind, which you were able to uh, break them while you started practicing and installing qualities of self-love?
Yeah. That's a very good question, Amrita. Because I remember in my earlier days when I was working, I would be working throughout the week. So weekends was totally for family, for the kids and home. And at that point, I never really thought of doing anything individually for myself because I felt since I'm working, the weekend should be totally for family. And I mean, it was a very kind of normal way of thinking, right? But your question was, were there any misconceptions?
Misconception in
Yeah.
your mind.
Correct. So, like I said, when I went through this journey and that awareness came up, I realized that um, the I would say the importance that you give yourself, rather, how you treat yourself is how others treat you, right? So, if you're going to not, and also another big realization was that nobody else is going to care as much about your dreams as you are. I mean, because family will support, will maybe help. I mean, they may or may not understand, but ultimately, who is going to realize your dreams? It's you, right? You have to take those steps. You have to take the initiative. And the misconception I had earlier was that it would be selfish if I put myself first. I am anyway. I was always kind of, adjusting and kind of adapting to the situation. I would be the one who is kind. What would you say? Be the peacemaker, letting go of situations. Okay, we'll do it for the greater good. But I also realized that if I don't give importance to myself, nobody else will. So the very first step was I took steps to um, whatever I wanted to do. So as a part of the yoga journey, I took up yoga instructor course. Then I did a master's in yoga also because at the lockdown time, I had the opportunity of doing an online thing. So even though people were questioning, what are you going to do with, are you going to start teaching now or will you be able to manage your time? These were the questions, but I said, okay, I'm just going to go for it. Let's see what happens. And it went well. I learned so much and I was able to complete it. So first thing was to, like I said, honor your own goals and dreams, what you want to do. Give it, prioritize yourself. It's not selfish. It's about honoring yourself. Second is also about setting certain boundaries because being there for everyone all the time is really not serving your purpose because we have 24 hours in a day and it's important to give yourself some time, right? So one thing I did was, like I said, the morning routine. Uh, Give myself maybe wake up a little earlier, but complete my morning routine before I start service to the family, rest of the day, kitchen duties and all. So before that, what I would do is get up and straight rush into making breakfast, making meals, doing that, and then you would find that you've not really done anything for yourself. So that was that. So and the third is also, like I said, being authentic. So express your opinion, right? It's not about making people feel bad. If something is not okay for you and you want to say it, you have all the right to go ahead and express it, and you can do it in a very respectful and very compassionate manner. It's just a matter of uh, putting across your what you think, because it's not necessary just because you're in a family or any community. Everybody does not think the same way. You have your own ideas, you have your own thoughts, and again, honor and respect yourself by stating what you feel. So these are things I started to do, and I think it has definitely made a difference. It's like, again, as women, we tend to think that we are responsible to take care of everyone, and not just physically, but even emotionally. We don't want to hurt them, or we want to listen to everything everybody says. Really doesn't work that way. It's about you as an individual in this universe, and giving yourself the importance, giving yourself the love that you deserve.
Vasanthi, if I would ask you, how would this concept of self-love evolve in future? What would your thoughts be?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. I think uh, as this generation, we should actually take it to the next generation. So maybe our kids um, teach. This was never a concept, right? I have never heard this concept earlier as a kid, or even as a part of any kind of curriculum. It's only when I came into coaching that this term became something which is familiar. So I think it's important, even if you don't call it self love, uh, to kind of ingrain it within your relationships, your families, where especially the younger generation, you teach them the concept of. Uh, Earlier, I remember there was a lot of importance given to being very compliant, right? Being good children, being good girls and boys. So, and that meant obedience to what the elders are saying or anybody else. So, I think that is really not going to work anymore, because um, having self love, like I said, having authenticity and acceptance, inculcating these concepts in our kids is very important. So, accepting the self-acceptance in a child will do so much for building the child's confidence, for the concept of who they are. All these problems we see, emotional health problems, I think comes from that basic lack of loving the kind of who you are, basically loving the person you are. So that is very important. That no matter, you might be good at some things, you might not be good. It's perfectly fine. Like we say, we love you just the way you are. You need to say that to yourself. I love me just the way I am. And making that a very normal way of being. Because earlier it was like we never actually gave importance to self as such. It was considered being very self-centered or maybe arrogant or conceited. It's not so. It's a very basic need. So you need to have that sense of self and authenticity also, having the courage to speak up, um, and not really go with. You don't need to always go with the flow or follow the rule book. Of course, there are certain rules you follow, but unless you are the person that you normally are. You don't need to fit in, that's what I'd say. Just be yourself and love who you are. These would be the things I think would take the future generation forward on the path of being happy, feeling at peace, and feeling loved. So even if the whole world is against you, I mean, just to exaggerate, you are happy being the person you are, and you don't need validation, or you don't need the love from others, because you feel complete just the way. Yeah, so I think, yeah, that would be the way to take the next generation forward on this.
Vasanthi, what I feel is the need for validation is usually very high when there's lot of negative self-talk. Do you agree? So in this situation, when you are going through the phase of negative self-talk and it's like a spiraling in your day-to-day life, how can you start building self-love? Because these two are polar opposite, right? Your body would not accept this concept while you are in this negative thought spiral.
Yeah, that's very true. So in such cases, I think the very first step which is taken is to start on this two things, like I mentioned earlier. One is gratitude, gratitude journaling, and the other is basically journaling for yourself. The end of the day, victory log, or just journaling to write down what you feel and what you think the whole day. So gratitude, I think, takes the focus away from how you're feeling, the negativity, to the beauty which is around you, I would say. Because after all, life is actually beautiful. We just need to see the beauty, And gratitude takes the focus to those aspects, positive aspects, the things that you can appreciate. So just diligently doing gratitude, those 5 sentences every morning. I think if a person does that consistently, there would definitely be a turnaround in the terms of the negativity, like you said, the spiraling thoughts and all that. And the journaling, what I've found is if you just go ahead and write down what you feel or what are your thoughts, there would be a pattern which emerges, would actually see that these are the thoughts I'm thinking every single day. And that itself is a realization, is an awareness that do I really want to spend my time, thinking all this? Because what is it doing for me? It's making you feel bad only. So that awareness will come in by journaling and gratitude for turning that mindset shift from negativity to positivity. These would be the basic steps. And of course, as journey moves along, we take it further. But if you say the two key things, I would say it's these two, gratitude and journaling at the end of the day is what, or not just even end of the day. Sometimes just doing what is called a brain dump. Sometimes this overwhelm of so many things going in. Just write everything down on paper, and then you will be able to see what is it that you're actually thinking.
Agreed, agreed. I think brain dump has helped me a lot, Vasanthi, and thanks for pointing that out. Last one question that I would like to ask you is what barriers, the inbuilt barriers, like not the external barriers, but what I've experienced that to start having this self-love with us and to retain this self-love on day-to-day basis, in, there are no external barriers, but there are a lot of internal barriers that we have to fight with. If you can highlight on this concept.
Yeah, internal barriers definitely. There's I would say, a lot of conditioning which has happened in our lives, which has kind of made us overlook self-love totally. You know, so again, the internal barriers would be the idea of being, again, this is, I think, more specific to women also, where you are the kind of the caregiver, the provider for your family. So you make sure everyone is okay. Actually, if you look at relationships, you kind of you have the responsibility of ensuring everybody is happy and well and healthy. But at what cost? Because by doing this, you are actually neglecting yourself. Nobody actually tells you, even as you grow up or any time, that look after yourself. They always say, if you look at a girl, I think things are changing now. But earlier it used to be make sure everyone is happy, take care of them. So I think that itself becomes the first barrier. No, how do I turn the focus on myself? Is it the right thing to do? So here, I think, again, like I said, recognizing that each one of us is a divine soul. Each one of us is a part of the divine. And by neglecting yourself, by not giving yourself that love, you are actually kind of neglecting that divinity within you, which I don't think is right, right? So each one of us has a responsibility of making sure that we live life to the fullest. We all have a journey uh, in this world, and each one of us will need to ensure that we reach our potential, whatever it is that we want to do, we take the steps towards that. And if we have this thought in our mind, if we one more concept I'd like to bring forth here is one of alignment, right? So suppose you are doing certain activities in your day-to-day life, and you still feel as if there is something missing in life, or you don't feel that joyfulness, or you don't feel your life is complete, then I would say that something missing would be you aligning with your purpose. So again, that is one key aspect where we figure out what is it, why am I here in this world, what is the purpose for which I'm here. So I think, yeah, that will be one more part of self-love where you align with what is it that you want to do. So that might, again, there are various ways in which we find our purpose. Some people are very clear. If you see some, right from childhood, some kids are very clear who they want to be, and they also go ahead and reach those goals because that clarity is there. Some of us might not even be sure in adulthood and all that. So that is one thing which I think we also need to give importance to is find your purpose and align with it. And once you have that alignment, the kind of joy and fulfillment that you find in life. So you might be uh, doing the smallest things, but still you would be doing it with so much of joy and happiness. So that becomes a key part of this. So I would say going forward, do not do not give yourself last priority, and it is not selfish. It is something about like I said, finding your purpose and living the life that you were meant to live on this earth plane. So it's a very, very important and I think a very sacred duty that each one has to do. So I think this would beat all the inner voices or all the resistance that is there. And it will also help. What I have found is that there might be doubts that, if I just go ahead after, go after my goals, won't I be neglecting family and home? Isn't it selfish? It won't be, because you will find the way where you can kind of take everything together. It's not a question of whether I can do this or, but you will be able to do everything. It will be and, go after your aspirations and have a happy family life and fulfill your purpose. So another concept comes here of abundance. You will actually be living life in abundance. So that is also coming up. Yeah. So I think that is the way to go forward.
Thank you so much, Vasanthi, for sharing this.
Yeah.
You've covered entire spectrum of self-love, like from self-doubt, self-awareness to going all the way towards abundance, which is
Yes. I
definitely the
think
other side.
because of this topic, it has, taken us from right from the beginning to where we want to be. Yeah, that's amazing.
It was really nice listening to your views, and thank you so much for sharing them wholeheartedly.
Thank you so much, Namrata, for this topic. I mean, I felt so good talking about it, and your questions also were so insightful. So thank you. I think it added to my knowledge as well. So thanks a lot.